Welcome back to Generative AI 101, the podcast that turns the often buzzword heavy world of AI and generative AI into bite sized adventures. I'm Emily Laird, the referee of this Thunderdome. Today we're exploring self consistency prompting. You know, that friend who asks everyone for advice and then does whatever they want in the first place? It's kind of like that. So let's get into it and see how asking the same question in different ways can lead us to the most consistent answer. Welcome to Generative AI 101. All right, let's get into it. First and foremost, self-consistency prompting was originally presented in a 2023 paper titled Self-Consistency Improves Chain of Thought Reasoning and Language Models, which I have linked in the show notes. So what exactly is self-consistency prompting? Imagine you're trying to find the best route to your favorite coffee shop. You don't just ask one friend, you ask 5, and then pick the route they most agree on. In AI, self-consistency prompting means asking the large language model the same question multiple times, getting different reasoning paths, and then choosing the answer that appears most consistently. So how does it work? All right, here's the scoop. Traditional prompting might prompt the large language model to generate a single response. Self-consistency prompting, however, prompts the large language model multiple times with slightly varied questions or prompts. The idea is to generate diverse reasoning paths and then pick the answer that shows up most frequently. It's like crowdsourcing, but the best solution from multiple sources. You could also ask multiple models, whether you're talking to ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, Poe, or Copilot. So let's break this down with an example. Okay, so suppose we want to know how much Alex makes from their YouTube channel. We prompt our large language model with slightly varied versions of the same question. So I'm going to go over 4 prompts. That's right, you're getting 4 whole prompts that we are then going to prompt a large language model with. We could actually prompt each large language model. We could do prompt 1 goes to ChatGPT, prompt 2 goes to Gemini, 3 to Claude, and 4 to Copilot. See what's the most consistent response. All right, here we go. Prompt 1. Alex runs a YouTube channel and releases 4 videos per week, each getting 50,000 views. For every 1,000 views, Alex earns $5. How much does Alex make in a week from ad revenue? Prompt 2. If Alex posts 4 videos a week on their YouTube channel and each gets 50,000 views, earning $5 per 1,000 views, what is Alex's weekly ad revenue? Prompt 3. Each of Alex's 4 weekly YouTube videos gets 50,000 views. Alex earns $5 per 1,000 views. Calculate Alex's total weekly ad revenue. And our 4th prompt. Assume Alex's YouTube video, 4 per week, in parentheses, gets 50,000 views each, and Alex makes $5 for each 1,000 views. What is Alex's total earnings from ad revenue per week? Okay, so you take these 4 different prompts. You can feed them to a specific model like ChatGPT if you're working preferably with that. Or, like I said, and like many people do, you feed them to multiple models and see how they respond. Based on those responses, you take the most consistent, and that becomes your answer. Pretty straightforward, a little intensive. So let's break down those pros and cons, all right? So the pros of self-consistency prompting include improved accuracy, right? So self-consistency significantly boosts the performance of large language models, especially in complex reasoning tasks. So when we talk about improving accuracy, this would mean you're prompting the same model consistently with these different prompts we looked at today. And then we're looking at another pro is error reduction, okay? By evaluating multiple paths, it really minimizes the chance of errors, much like cross-referencing multiple sources for a research paper. And you should be doing that anyway, may I add, when you work with large language models. These machines hallucinate. They do. They tell you very inaccurate information with the utmost of confidence. So you should always be using critical thinking and cross referencing when you can. Some of the cons of self consistency prompting include computationally intensive. So, this method really requires more computational power since it generates and evaluates multiple reasoning paths. It's also intensive on you. You have to rewrite what you're asking multiple times and do it in a way that's going to challenge your large language model, right? So I think what's also important here is to recognize this is going to involve some more critical thinking and assessment on your part. So it is a little bit more labor intensive. And as with everything, it's not foolproof. It's not entirely error free. If all paths are flawed, the final answer can still be incorrect, though it is rare. But you know this better than I know this. It's written by a human. We are a delightful little error riddled machines. So we have to remember this may not always be foolproof. All right. But aside from that, I think self consistency prompting offers a lot of opportunity when it comes to brainstorming. In the past, on this podcast, we've talked about implementation of project plans or things you might be working on in work or in course planning if you work in higher ed, or on marketing strategies if that's your cup of tea. We are not always thinking of every output, every target audience, every stakeholder the way we should. What's really interesting about this method and the application into things like project management is it's often this second little thing that's going to bump you on the shoulder and say, hey, wait, you actually forgot about this stakeholder group, or you forgot to mention that. So I think it's a great way to have some checks and balances. It is labor intensive, it is writing intensive, but definitely helps. And I definitely utilize this method. And I utilize it with multiple models because I want to see who's responding to what. I like to pit them against each other in my own little like robot fighting thing. I don't know if you remember that. Back in the day, there was like, maybe it still exists. There's these robots and you'd soup them up and they'd fight. It's like that. I don't know, in my mind, it's probably not. Anyway, that's all for today's exploration of self consistency prompting. If you've got questions, thoughts, or just want to connect, you can find me on LinkedIn. Just look up Emily Laird, Laird, and let's keep the conversation going. Until next time, stay curious, stay adventurous, and remember, you know more about self consistency prompting now than you did when you arrived.